That's what we do here, man. We thank you so much for being here, George, as always here. And it's a little bit of injection of energy maybe for the Raiders. Of course, nobody foresaw a Gardner Minshew going out for the year with that collarbone injury, but at the same time, Aiden O'Connell now coming back healthy after missing several games. So what's the energy like kind of there in Vegas in the building now that there's, you lose Gardner Minshew, but some stability still at the quarterback position, which is going to help in a big way here as Aiden O'Connell came into Arrowhead and won last year on Christmas Day.
Well, hopefully he can repeat what he did last time he played there, and that is say get a victory, But we've been plagued by injuries, as you well know. A defensive line, especially Wilkins, we lost.
Yeah.
We just getting injuries, man, and you know how it is when you have injuries. It's hard to sometimes replace certain guys, and the quarterback position has been a problem for us most of the season, all season actually. We've been up and down there. There's some things we got to correct. There's some things we have to definitely mend, and quarterback is one.
Yeah, and last time we had you on, George, you said blitz, baby blitz, and that seems to be a good formula against this Chiefs team, especially with the troubles that they've had on the offensive line, especially at the tackles. I know Max Crosby usually lines up at left end to going against the right tackle. Do you think we might see him a little bit more on the right side going up against the Chiefs' weakest tackle, which is Wanya Morris?
They have been moving him around, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was not the case, what you just mentioned. Put him on the weaker side and let him go from there, Make them have to double team him and somebody else will be free. So the defense hasn't been playing bad this year, but the offense, we got to get it cranked up. And like you said, putting Max on the weaker side, on a weaker offensive tackle may be a good thing.
It's kind of been the same old story for the Chiefs this year, George, not to look at things from kind of the Chiefs fans have gotten a little fat and happy here, and you had a 10-1 football team, and yet we're sitting here going, well, the point differential's not very good. The Chiefs don't blow anybody away. They had to get a late field goal to beat the Carolina Panthers. We talked about this last time, but when you look at this Chiefs team, are you of the school of thought that, hey, a win's a win, this team just wins, we've seen it in the past, we know what this franchise is? Or are there concerns that you could point to where it's like, hey, at the right day, the right time, the right team, this team can be had?
Well, that's evident. You lost from, who'd you lose to recently?
The Bills.
You lost to the Bills, and you're on the ropes against, who was that? Was that the
Panthers?
Broncos. Block field goal.
Broncos had you really on the ropes. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But the name of the game is winning, man. We used to always say, just win. Just win, baby. They don't ask how, they ask how many. And that's the mark of a champion. You win the tough games. You win the ones that you think you shouldn't win sometimes. But that's what makes up a good championship team. I can remember the year we won our first Super Bowl. We were 16-1, and we had some ugly wins, but they all counted. And when it got time for the playoffs, we were ready and felt like we couldn't be beat. And that's the way Kansas City is playing. They're winning games that there's a possibility that they should have lost, but they come out on the winning end, and that's what championship teams do. They win football games, and like I said, they don't ask how, they ask how many.
Absolutely. They're battle tested. And when those moments get tight in the playoffs, they don't feel the pressure. They've been in those so many times before that they feel an ease come over them. And we just got to take it one play at a time.
And what else happens when you have that kind of action going? You have a cohesiveness and you have a unity and a belief that you can't lose. And you go in every game on Sunday with the notion, hey, we're gonna win this. Something's gonna happen. We're gonna make plays to win the game, and that's the way Kansas City look like they're playing right now. They have a confidence. They don't feel like they can lose. They feel like they're in every minute of a game, and that's the kind of attitude you got to have as a championship team. Now, have they shown some weaknesses? I think so. there's this evident that they do have some weaknesses, and the right team comes along at the right time. Could be a L for you.
Yeah. And it's been the Raiders before. John Gruden won here in 2020. Last year, Antonio Pierce comes in here and wins on Christmas. We know this rivalry. We know it can happen, right?
Exactly. And, we've seen it. We've come in there in instances where we weren't supposed to win and walked out with a victory.
Sure.
So, you just never know. It's called professional football. On any given Sunday, anybody can beat anybody. And it's going to be interesting Friday because the Raiders need a win real bad. And Kansas City is on a roll. They feel like they can't lose. So it'll be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, we've talked about this defense. We talked about the quarterback, but talk about some of the offensive weapons that maybe some people here in Chiefs Kingdom don't know about that you think, hey, they traded away Devontae Adams. This is going to be nothing. We're going to go against the Raiders and be just fine. But we talk about Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers, two real standouts that the Chiefs are going to have to watch out for the Raiders offense.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Brock Bowers having an all-pro season. Jacoby Myers, he's capable. He's the guy that is the go-to guy right now, and he's healthy right now, and that's big. That's a big thing. So it's like I said, it's about personnel, but it's also about breaks and opportunities, and I think that's what's going to happen. Is the team who get the breaks and the opportunities to capitalize on the breaks will come out as winners. And like you said, we got some weapons, but now the thing is, will it be used and will Kansas City shut those weapons down? They know who our weapons are also. So trust me, they're going to be gunning for Jacoby Myers, especially because he's the veteran guy. And, you look at he's coming along, and he's the guy that can break a game open for you.
George, over the past 20 years, the Raiders have had to start over so many times, firing coaches, new quarterbacks, trying to get it right. When you look at the AFC West and you see what Bo Nix coming in here with Sean Payton in Denver and what they're doing, Jim Harbaugh coming to the Chargers with Justin Herbert and what they're doing. These are two teams that are in the playoffs right now. How much pressure does that put on the Raiders organization to try to get this right? And I'm not trying to fire anybody or try to tell you, hey, you got to start all over and do this thing again. But how much pressure is there on the organization right now to get right up there with what the rest of the division is doing?
Well, what are we, 2-8, 2-9?
9, yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of pressure. And it's, like you said, we have made changes so regular now until it's almost a part of the equation. But the thing is, we gotta get a solid foundation going, and it starts with, I think, the draft choices that you build from your draft choices. You build your nucleus from your draft choices, and we haven't been able to successfully put that together like we. It's going to be interesting to see what happens Friday. Maybe it's the beginning of something good. Hopefully, give you guys a challenge, which we haven't given you in a while, and maybe surprise you and upset you.
It would.
You don't want to upset us, George, do you? Come on now.
It
George,
would be a surprise.
It's Black Friday, George. Come on. I guess that's the scary part, though, right?
You guys made this a Black Christmas last year. So.
Like I said, on any given, it'll be any given Friday this week. Anything can happen. You never know. It could be our turning point.
Sure.
Yeah.
It could be, but you've got fans out there, some Raiders fans. I'm not going to talk about all of Raider Nation, but there's some that we've seen on social media talking about how they want a tank. They want a Cam Ward or a Shedeur Sanders. And of course, if you talk about bringing in a Shedeur Sanders, maybe a Deion Sanders as head coach, we talked about that a little bit on the phone, that maybe you might want a more proven guy in the NFL if there is going to be a new head coach for the Raiders.
Well, for a head coaching job, you definitely want an experienced guy, And when you look at Denver, you see what happened with them. They turned their thing around because of Peyton, basically. And you want a guy who has that experience, who has that football experience, and that I think if a coach comes up, we got to find the right guy. They may stick with AP. He's a young guy. He's got a year under his belt. Will that help him? Well, only time will tell. But again, I've seen it happen. When I came along with the Raiders, John Madden was inexperienced. A guy, Al Davis, put some trust in, and you see what happened with him. So you just never know. Things have to fall right, and you have to get the right players in place. You mentioned Shedeur Sanders. I'm not one to think a rookie can come in and change the whole franchise. I think it takes a minute for that. But the thing is you got to start somewhere, and whoever we draft as the number one is going to be a quarterback, no question. Maybe even 1 and 2, because there's some pretty good quarterbacks out there.
For sure.
You look at it, there's some kids that's out there that can play pretty good. So it's just a matter of, again, putting it together. You got to have the right mix. You saw what happened with Kansas City when they got the right mix. Everything turned around in a short period of time. And it can happen, but you got to have the right mix. You got to have the right chemistry. You got to have the right guys playing together. Things have to fall in place.
Well, George, when we have you on, one of my favorite parts is to go back and relive this rivalry and some of the memories that you have of it. And one game we've never talked about that is sort of changed the course of history for the Chiefs organization is the 1970 AFL championship game, where you guys had beat the Chiefs twice in the regular season in 1969. And then in January of 1970, the Chiefs come to Oakland and win that game to go to the Super Bowl IV, where the Chiefs wind up beating the Vikings. So just take us back through that game. I think you had an interception in that game, or you had a long kick return, I know, that almost set up a score. So take us back through that game and why that game was wound up going the way it did, because you guys had kind of owned the Chiefs that year.
There's some things you just don't want to remember.
hey, you played well that day. I know that.
Remember, some things is just the memory just don't jog right. You know what I mean? And that happens to be one for me. But like you said, the rivalry has always been a tough rivalry. It was always between us and the Chiefs during that time. And I can't remember the exact season that you're speaking of right off the top. I have to jog my memory a little bit. But if they beat us, it was by accident. Trust me.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I mean, it kind of was, because you guys have beat the Chiefs twice in the regular season, and then to go to the Super Bowl against the Vikings, the Super Bowl IV, the Chiefs somehow came out on top there, and you guys, I think it's just crazy how
was that Super Bowl IV?
Yeah.
Okay. That's right. They beat the Vikings. Otis Taylor had a big game that game, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And to get there, the Chiefs had to beat the Jets on the road and the Raiders on the road in Oakland.
And we had dominated them during the season.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Now it's coming back to me. But that's football. You look at the year my rookie season when the Jets went to the Super Bowl. I mean, they had no business being. We were right down on the 8-9 yard line, 10-yard line. LaMonica throws a pass behind Charlie Smith. And we're going in to score. A field goal, we win. And we lose that game on a fluke. So, things happen in football, and it's hard to explain sometimes how things happen, but it's football. And when you look at it, you can go back and search the records over years, and you find the same kind of events happen in the game of football, where one team goes to the Super Bowl and shouldn't have, and the other team is home wishing that they had, and I've been in that position several times. I played 7 championship games, so you can imagine how many Sundays I was on the couch watching somebody else play in the Super Bowl and saying, "Dog, one play."
Yeah.
And it's just the nature of the beast. And who knows? Strange things have happened. The Raiders could knock on your door Friday and you open it for us.
George, you're really going in on that point. I'm getting a little nervous now. You're really, and it seems to be like you're targeting us specifically.
The fact that there is a possibility.
Well, luckily, the Chiefs keep it close, so there's no chance that the Raiders are going to come in and beat that ass.
BTA, baby. Beat that ass.
The Chiefs don't do that. I'll tell you that. Yeah, the Chiefs don't beat
one way or
anybody
the other. I don't think that's going to happen. Neither side is going to BTA.
I hear you. BTA is always in order.
That's something your teams did, and Clint went to a bad memory. I'm going to go to a good one. And Super Bowl 11, just what do you remember about pushing through and just the moment of just exhilaration, winning that Super Bowl and the Raiders being the kings of the NFL?
We have been there so many times. Like I said, I played in 7 championship games before that one. And to be right there so many times and all kind of different circumstances we lost under. It comes a time, and we always felt that if we ever had that breakthrough, we would win, because the NFC just wasn't that strong during that time. And if you remember, the AFC won Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl. And we knew if we would ever break through, that we would win, and we did. The year that we won the Super Bowl, we beat the you-know-what out the Vikings.
BTA, baby.
BTA, baby. We took care of that business, And but like I said, it was a confidence that we had. And going into that game, I don't think we made any mistakes that week. I don't remember a receiver dropping a pass, or John having to get on us about calls or making plays, checkoffs, or any of that. Everything was just perfect that week. I remember it like it was yesterday. And we knew going in that we were going to BTA, We knew that going in. It was just a matter of how bad we were going to beat the Vikings. And when we jumped on them, after the first quarter, it was pretty much over because we had their number. We made some big hits in the secondary that kind of discouraged the receivers. And from that point on, we dominated.
Yeah, I don't think Fran finished that game.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
And Sammy White didn't finish it. Tarkenton didn't finish. Yeah, I think he did finish because he threw that interception to Willie Brown in the final quarter.
75-yard, interception.
Yeah. So, but he finished it. But I'm pretty sure he wished he hadn't.
George, for the Raiders, it's unfathomable thinking about the era that you came up in, the John Madden era Raiders that were the gold standard for so long, and that the Raiders now haven't played in a Super Bowl since 2003 in a loss, to the Buccaneers. So to think about that's been over 20 years now, and just someone that's such a part of this organization, Mr. Raider, what does that do to your psyche? What does that do to you to think that it's been that long, and how do the Raiders get back to that point where they're just winning consistently?
To get back to that point, you got, like I said, you got to build a strong nucleus. And that has to start with your draft, I think. You got to have a strong draft that you have a young group of guys who buy into the system, who buy into the whole concept. And it's got to be a young group coming up that can play together and believe in themselves. And that's the main thing. It's the belief system, I think, that has been a problem here also. I don't think, because we changed personnel so regular. And at one point we were changing coaches regular. And whenever you do that, you can't build stability. And in order to be a championship team, you got to have stability. You got to have confidence. You got to have a group of guys who love playing together and have the buy-in of what the organization is about and what the coaching staff is about. And until we get that, we're at the mercy of the best team in the AFC West right now. So I'm giving you your due, man.
George, you always equal it out so well. It just, we're too friendly. I feel
Well, I only tell the truth, man. I'm not gonna BS. I mean, right now you guys hey, you're the gold standard of the NFL. And everybody's hey, when you got the Chiefs on your roster, everybody's shooting for the Chiefs. So I mean, it is what it is, and if you don't face up to it, you never face up to it. So, at some point, you got to realize who's the king of the mountain, and you give them their due. And until you're able to knock them off, what can you say?
Yeah, George, you've talked about maybe Antonio Pierce stays around, building a nucleus. I mean, they did have Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams. You're getting rid of them. Maybe I think they do get rid of coaches too soon. You talked about the Raiders getting rid of coaches too soon. Maybe it is about letting Antonio Pierce stay on if you believe he's the guy and letting him build that nucleus through the draft and just some continuity amongst the players and the coaching staff and keeping guys around, let him build up this team. Because if you're saying we're going to get rid of Derek Carr, we're going to go with just kind of see what Aiden O'Connell has, a Gardner Minshew, we're going to let go of Josh Jacobs. Devontae Adams isn't happy. We'll trade him away. Then I think it's somewhat unfair to say, oh, well, now we're 2-9. Well, yeah, we got rid of Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, and Devontae Adams. We had Christian Wilkins get injured. Like, what do you expect me to do for Antonio Pierce? So do you think that's kind of a fair thing that maybe Antonio Pierce sticks around, give it time for that nucleus to build?
He deserves another year at it. He deserves another shot because, like you said, under the circumstances this year, and, he started off pretty hot. He beat a good team in the Ravens, and we had 2 wins, I think, in the first 3 games or so, and then things fell off the cliff. But like you said, man, it's all about building. And whenever you build anything, you got to have a strong foundation. And right now, to be honest with you, our foundation is a little shaky. And if Antonio Pierce can put it together next year, we'll see an improvement, and that's how it starts. It's not going to happen overnight, but you got to have some improvement over this year going into next year, and that improvement has to be almost leaps and bounds. I mean, it's just not, you're not talking gradual because the game goes on. Teams are getting better. Look at Denver. They have gotten better over the season, They got a good staff. They have a strong nucleus they're building. Look at the Chargers. They're getting better, and quite naturally Kansas City. So you got to put it together quickly because those teams are coming. They're young, and they have talent. They have good coaching. Harbaugh has made a big change in the Chargers, and you look at Denver, they have made a complete turnaround under a veteran coach. And right now we're bringing up the rear in the AFC West. And we got to make that charge pretty quick because if we continue to fall behind, the other 3 teams in the division are getting better. So, I mean, it's almost imperative that we make a run early with some young players, and we got to get young players who buy into what's going on.
Just kind of last thing on that point about the coaches. I mean, there's some big names out there. Bill Belichick, Mike Vrabel, Deion Sanders might throw his hat in the ring as far as being an NFL coach. So do you think it's going to be tough for you not to, and for the Raiders organization not to bring in those names, at least have a conversation along with Antonio, bring him back and just kind of talk things out and see what's out there?
Once again, it'll be another change and you don't know what you're getting. You know what I mean? I think you may stick with him another year and see if he can change it around. But if he doesn't work out, then you're right back where you started.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's damn if you do and damn if you don't. So right now we're in the catch-22, and that 22 is the noose is around our neck. Because like I said, you look at Denver, you look at the Chargers. I mean, they're getting better, man. You say what you want. Those 2 teams have improved tremendously over the season. So you can't fall too far behind, and you can't continue to go through the season changing personnel, changing coaches, and think it's going to be stability there. We got to come up with the right answer, and we got to do it right away.
George, you talked about the season where you had a team that had one loss, like you're 13-1 in the regular season. And that was in a time when you guys dominated the AFC and the AFL in large portion. I mean, so for the Chiefs that have been here so many times and have won 3 Super Bowls, there's a lot of talk about lethargy, being lethargic, or, hey, Travis Kelce's even talked about before, hey, sometimes we just want to get to the playoffs. It's hard to go through these long regular seasons. So you've been a part of a team like the Chiefs are now. How difficult is it to go through a regular season, slugging it out each week, knowing that the playoffs are looming out there, but you've got to win these games to make sure your playoff seeding is good? How hard is that to stay motivated each week, even when you're playing teams like the Panthers?
It wasn't hard because we had a group of guys who bought into BTA. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Every Sunday, we believe we're supposed to beat that ass. I mean, that was just us. We didn't have a letdown. Even after I retired, those young kids who came along behind me, they tried to carry the tradition on. You know, they won 2 more Super Bowls. So it's not hard if you buy in and you enjoy what you're doing. And if you like beating that ass, then definitely it becomes a pleasure, not a job. You know, it becomes a part of you as a team. And that's the group of guys I play with. Now, I can't speak for the other guys. I can't imagine a guy like Mahomes buying into what you said Kelce was talking about. I just can't see it. He's a winner. This guy wants to win. He enjoys playing. And I just can't see him, hey, let's get through the season, get to the playoff. I mean, to me, that's nonsense.
Well, maybe looking forward to the playoffs and ho-hum during the regular season, but they have been playing more games than anyone else as they keep going to AFC Championship games, keep going to Super Bowls. They played longer seasons than anyone else over this 6-7 year stretch. So is there anything to that where maybe they're having to conserve more energy during the season?
You enjoy it, man. You build your energy. Your energy comes from beating that ass every Sunday. I mean, every time you beat a team's ass, your energy level goes up. And that's what that's about. At least it was back when I played. And that's what we enjoyed. You know, we enjoyed the competition. We enjoyed winning. We enjoyed dominating the AFC at that time, West. Those were things that we took pride in, you know. And like I said, I played in 7 championship games.
Yeah.
I can't ever remember going into a season saying, let's hurry up and get through the season to get to the playoffs. You know, hey, let's take our time and let's walk this sucker through. And let's, like you said, PTA right every Sunday. And as you go along, you build a momentum. And that's what makes you a championship team. As you win, you get more confidence. You take more pride in playing and winning and being a part of a winning organization. And that's how it was when I came along.
Well, George, we sure appreciate it as always. The question is, when are we going to get you back to Kansas City? Are you coming in for Black Friday? When are we going to get you back here, my friend?
Is it too cold here?
You know, I almost decided to come this week, but the holidays, you know how that goes.
Yeah.
George, I got a Thanksgiving feast right over here for you tomorrow. right a place at the table, buddy.
Just before I got on the phone with you guys, I told them I'm not going. 30 degrees. I think I'm gonna stay home.
It's a little rough, but my mom's an average cook at best. But it'd be worth it, you know.
We'll have a Starcade Media hoodie waiting for you
when we get together.
Yeah, what's that going to take, George? We got to come out off season, Savannah, something. We got to make it happen. How do we?
We'll do it. Savannah sounds good now. That's a good bet.
Now we're talking.
You like that road trip?
That sounds like 97 degrees and humidity in July is what that sounds like.
No, yeah, that's a good. Hey, man, Savannah in the summertime, you can't beat it.
I love it, George. We'll make it happen. Good luck this week. Friday, Black Friday, Chiefs Raiders. We always love it. Always love having you on. Thank you so much again. And
although you say good luck, I know you don't mean it.
I'm thinking BTA, baby. That's what I'm thinking right now.
With tomorrow being Thanksgiving, George, I just got to say we are thankful for you, thankful for this friendship since 2012 when we started this
Been a while, huh?
It has been, man. We've loved every minute of it. I never thought I'd say that with an ex-Raider, but you're our favorite guest to have on. You're our favorite person, George.
For sure.
You're the best, and we love you, my friend.
All right, man. Love you guys. Take care. Happy Thanksgiving. BTA, baby.
There
BTA.
it is.
BTA. Happy Thanksgiving, George. Always BTA.